My name is Donika Hristova, and I'm a keto for mental health and integrative nutrition health coach. I'm also a mastery method life coach, and I have been utilizing the ketogenic diet for 2 years to treat my bipolar type 2 depression that I was diagnosed with about 9 years ago. I also had a severe binge eating disorder at that time, and so I think both of them are very linked together and kind of like one leads to the other. So how it all started is I feel like the binge eating really started getting out of control, and I would binge on completely like extremely high processed sugary foods like bars or desserts or all the highest or like the worst foods, the ultra processed, extremely high in sugar type of foods. A period of that led to getting more depressed, obviously, like just not interrupting sleep patterns, and it just kept increasing my anxiety, inability to focus. I felt like I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't remember. I was just living almost in a state of survival to a very high extent, where it's like almost like a threat is existing while it was not literally, but that's how I felt internally. And so months of that lifestyle just led to a complete collapse of me not seeing how I can get out of it, not seeing point in life, not being able to vision myself as ever succeeding or ever things getting better. I was seeing a therapist for the binge eating disorder because I really struggled with it. It was completely out of control, and talking to her, and that's when suicidal ideation came up as well, and I was discussing that with her, and she decided to escalate things and send me to a psychiatrist who can actually prescribe. In conclusion, I stick to the medication for 6 years at the minimum dose. It was helpful. It did have the side effects of me it was slowing my thought process way too much, to the point where it was uncomfortable. My memory was nowhere to find. I couldn't recall words. I couldn't recall basic experiences from the day before. I had to heavily rely on taking notes and reminders. It was very uncomfortable, but at least I didn't have the same amount of... I was still anxious, but it was like... to a point where it was doable, because before it was not. It was almost like panic state all the time. Initially, I started with the Whole 30 diet that eliminated just sugar and all processed foods, and I felt better because where I was coming from was still like that not so severe end stage binge eating, but it was regular emotional overeating, where I would eat like a whole bar of chocolate along with other high carb ultra processed foods. And so even though I would get enough sleep, I would wake up and I would feel like not energized. My brain was very sluggish, foggy, and all that. And so just a month of eliminating sugar and alcohol and dairy and processed foods I was feeling a lot better, to a point I didn't want to reintroduce those groups after that because I was afraid of what it would make me feel. So slowly I decided to continue doing that, plus adding intermittent fasting. And over the course of 3 months, I was ready to attempt keto, because initially my intake of carbs was just nowhere. It was impossible for me to go to keto. So during those 3 months, I slowly reduced the carbohydrate intakes that I had, and I was able to get into ketosis. And I decided that keto is going to be in place of my medication. And so I started working with a therapist who was well informed about what I was doing. He was the only one who wanted to take on this initiative. And so we decided to start very slowly, tapering off very safely, knowing that medication is always going to be an option that may not be successful, but we're giving it a try. And I'm responsible for taking that seriously, not playing with it, not playing around, like getting off of it too quickly. Because all I knew back then was if I get off of my med, I'll be exactly where I was if not worse, when I was put on it. And and that place was not a place I ever wanted to go. Stuck with it for 2 years, and while being completely medication free, just on the diet religiously. And I was able to actually discontinue the diet, continue being medication free after that initial period, without experiencing the same level of impact from carbohydrates as I did. I stick to a low carb diet, less processed foods, obviously, and I still maintain some level of ketosis, but it's usually below 1. But overall, I'm able to function without any side effects, and I have this tool that is always there for me that I know I can reach out to if I start catching myself experiencing symptoms. So being off the diet is nothing like being on the diet, right? Like being on the diet for me is my highest, best self that I ever knew myself as. But at least being off of it is not that, but it's doable. It's not where I was. So it's like some sort of a balance. And I know I can always get back to it if I need to.